as life gone on, I always felt, hey, I feel like I could be doing something different or on a much bigger scale than what I am. I just had no idea what it was or really what it was meant to do. It all just comes back down to the decision making and the habits. And if you can tweak those little things just a little bit, big changes.
Yeah.
Which I've seen personally. Yeah, you can give so much during the day, but you have to work extremely hard on yourself. Otherwise, it could all be for nothing and you could lose it very quickly. Same thing when I got into real estate. I told everyone there, they said, oh, you'll be back here in 12 months. I said, I'm not doing finance ever again. Where I'm at today is purely based on decisions I've made in the past, and no one else is responsible for those but me. The first piece of advice I got on my first day was just work harder on yourself than you do in your job, and then you will have an incredible life.
Are you curious about how to spend your life doing what you were born to do? The things that truly light you up and come naturally to you? Well, you're listening to the right podcast. I'm Joseph Bobadilla, and I'm a creative business owner running a content creation agency. On the From the Inside Out podcast, we'll meet and interview high performers from all walks of life. If they've got a great story of how they've built something or are simply thriving, doing what comes from the God-given dreams, talents, and gifts that are inside of them, that's who we're going to talk to. So together, let's find out what it takes and the rewards of building your life from the inside out. Mate, thanks for making the drive out today did you come in from Springfield?
Yeah, Springfield Lakes. Yeah, just shot down the highway.
Yeah.
So
busy day so far?
Yeah, massive. Yeah, early start, obviously. Yeah, we want to get a lot of things wrapped up this week and next week. It's pretty...
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Owners and buyers.
I can't imagine. I mean, this time of year, people will probably hear this in Jan or Feb for the first time, but we're recording this like 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah.
So it's a pretty full-on time of year, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I think from like all aspects, like family, everything, but especially in the real estate space, because you'll go stale if you're on the market in Christmas and New Year's, so you have to be sold by then. So that's sort of where we're at the moment. Yeah.
Full on. Well, thanks for coming today, Harry.
It's great to be here.
I'm so glad you've come on. For everyone who's listening or watching, this is my friend Harry Gale. So we'll get into a bit of his backstory, but we actually have known each other for a very long time, probably over half our lives, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yep. We just had a reunion with a couple of our mates a couple of weeks ago, and pretty sure when we started talking in decades, I realized we were old.
Correct. Yeah, and I'd never had that before. So you just think, oh no.
It goes quick. But yeah, so we go all the way back in Rocky, but at the moment, Harry is a real estate agent. He is a director of Gale Co, real estate agency in Springfield Lakes. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
And I want to hear more about what you're doing in the next little bit.
Yep.
But before we get there, the last guest, Anthony, he didn't know who you were or what you were about, but he wanted to ask you a question. And that question is, if you were to talk to yourself 10 years from now, another decade, about what you're doing right now, do you think that you'd be inspired, and why?
So it's Anthony with the question? Yes. Big question. I think I would answer it like this. Like, I'll start, if I went back 10 years to what I'm doing now, I'd say unreal. You finally, had a go. And then I think in 10 years' time, I think I'll be really proud of myself, and I'll still think, geez, you didn't know too much then, but I think I'll be proud of that. I just took good risks and just gave everything a shot, and really to try and set up myself and my family. And I think that person from 10 years would be very proud of what I'm doing today. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, from a distance and up close, I am personally proud of you, because again, I know we're going to get into it, but we've come out of the same kind of upbringing, same town, same circles, and I always thought that you were going to be one of those people that would kind of do something big with their lives.
Yeah, massive.
And so that's what I'm excited to talk about with you today.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And same with yourself, Joe. Like, there's not many people you meet that you're like, that's an incredibly intelligent person, and like I've always had that view of yourself. So it's been great to stay in touch all these years. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, life hasn't taken us too far apart recently, so
Bizarre, hey?
Yeah, I mean,
it took me 22 minutes to get here today.
20 minutes.
That's
All
fine.
right. All right. That's good.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we don't have any tickets on the way.
Correct. It's all right.
But let's go all the way back. So, like I said, we grew up together, but there's probably some things that I don't even know about your upbringing. But come back to early days, Harry. So 3 to 10 years old. What were you doing? Where were you? What was life like?
Yeah, I think, honestly, I just love being outside, playing tennis. Like, I really, academics-wise, not into it as much as, maybe I was, but, all I can remember is I just wanted to be outside. I wanted to be running. I wanted to be competing. I wanted to be playing tennis. That's just those early years. And then, as you know, a lot of church in between. That was really all I can remember from those years. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's where we knew each other from. So obviously you grew up. Did you grow up? Were you born in Rocky?
I was, yeah. So lived in the same house my whole life until I moved out. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
So Dad kept just like changing the house to suit the family as it got bigger.
How big did the family get?
So I'm big family, extremely big. So 9 children. I'm right in the middle. And then obviously, same parents to all of them. I get asked that a lot. But big, 11 people. So you can imagine, got to keep expanding that house.
What's it like living in a house with that many people?
It's very interesting, as in like you're always around people, whether in a good mood or you're in a bad mood, and you just got to learn to deal with it. And I think there's some great things that have come out of that, but looking back at it now, it's like, heck, that was chaos, but in a good way, I would say, because it was organised.
Organised chaos.
Full on.
You were one of the families, I tell people about my friends growing up, and you're one of the families that came to church in a van.
Correct. Yeah. And then it's like, that'll be a big family.
That's a big family. But so did you find out, like, even in those younger years, did you feel like there was something you really wanted to do in life? Like, was there any dream that came to you? Well, tell me about that.
Look, first off, it was sport. It really was with that. And then as life gone on, I always felt, hey, it's probably cliche, but I thought, hey, I feel like I could be doing something different or on a much bigger scale than what I am. I just had no idea what it was or really what I was meant to do. But I always felt like just a career or something just wasn't it. So I did a lot of different things in potentially like a 7-year period there, like a lot of different things. Like I went to uni for 1 semester. I was an electrician for 2 weeks. I worked at a swimming pool. I worked at the Baskin Robbins. There was just like a lot of things in there.
Which Baskins did you work at?
Just in Subway, South Rockhampton, in that bit there.
Wait, what year was this?
Oh, that was probably 2012.
Ah, okay,
11
cool.
years, maybe. So,
Because I worked in
late teens.
Yeah, I worked in the one next to Nando's, Northside, for like 6 months in 2007 or 2008. So yeah.
Massive. I still tell people I think that was probably the best job I had.
Oh, same. It was, especially in Rocky, right? It's hot.
Yeah, correct.
You're in an ice cream shop.
It's a good combo.
It's so good. And then people would see. The thing is, I used to think that the security cameras in our shop were on, which they weren't, or some of the back ones weren't. And so when I got a bit hungry, I remember I would accidentally break a waffle cone.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, I've now got to eat it. I was probably not the best Christian thing to do.
Hey, if you're hungry, right?
Yeah, I got hungry sometimes, right? But,
That's right.
It was a good job, but yeah. So I didn't realize. I actually didn't realize you did that.
Yeah, no, I did. I had a quickish stint there, but it was fantastic. Yeah, that was so. While I guess it was probably 20-ish. So I was working 3 jobs, and that was just the one at night time. Yeah.
Mate, you're so a bit of a hustler.
Yeah, I think what I've always done or been proud of the fact is really the ability to outwork people, I think. And that can be good and bad, but at the start, you know, I think it's a great thing to have, but you could be putting a lot of effort and work and potentially something that might not pay off in the long term. So it's just finding that right balance. Like I'll look at my dad and he's extremely hardworking. But yeah, like is there things you could do different along the way and still work hard? Absolutely. Yeah.
So was that part, like with you working 7-ish jobs or whatever, how many jobs there was in that couple of years, was that part of you exploring and trying to figure out what you wanted to do?
Yeah, like absolutely. And on top of that, I knew I wanted to sort of get out of the area where I was. And then the only real way to do that is to obviously build up a bit of a bank balance to be able to make it happen, because I knew if that failed, then almost you've got to come back. Whereas if you did it right and you had as good of a start as you could get, yeah. So that was probably why, because I was looking to potentially set up opportunities for the future.
Wow, so you always had that view in mind that you were going to leave?
Yeah, probably from like up until 14 I wouldn't, but from 15 onwards, all I thought is, hey, I want something a bit different. If I was potentially to stay, it would scare me to think I was going to spend another 30 years potentially working 9 to 5 and just be in one spot my whole life. Yeah. So, you know, obviously it's a lot of thoughts, and at the time you just go through it. But yeah, I always thought if I'm going to be able to go and do something, you know, I didn't think I could do it there. Yeah.
I actually really wanted to talk about this with you because, like we've hinted about 20 times now, we both grew up in the same spot.
Yeah, correct.
And, you know, it's really hard to leave a small town. Yeah. Like, most of the people around you all think the same, they do the same things, they're in the same circles, which is, again, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's really difficult to actually think about what's involved in leaving. And so I'm really curious, like what was the kind of mindset you had to have, and were people like supporting you in that journey? Was that something you had to do by yourself?
Like, it was very torn, like, because I'm from a big family, but I was the first one to move away. And Brisbane's, you know, we think it's not that far, but it was a big move at the time. I think I was only 19, 20, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of people saying not to do it, to stay here, get a job, buy a house, that sort of thing. And, you know, those first 6 to 12 months were extremely difficult.
What did that look like? So you said 19 to 20 you left.
Yeah.
So where did you go? What was life like?
Pretty interesting. So I was selling furniture. And look, I was selling furniture in Rockhampton. The easiest thing to do was to pick up a couple of jobs and sell furniture in Brisbane. And I was working for a pretty incredible company. I didn't know it at the time, but they were going through a pretty tough period. So there's a lot of promises that weren't kept. But, man, I got a little townhouse. So I went straight to Springfield, got a little townhouse there, had really nothing at all. Like, you know, I'd sleep on the carpet upstairs. It was a 2-story little townhouse. Sleep on the carpet upstairs, just with had a blanket and a pillow, and that was my furniture for maybe 6 months. And it was just, a sacrifice at the time. Yeah. So, and then it was just trying to make it work. So it was just probably 7 days a week at the furniture store, selling like anything.
Wow. So you really developed a sales skill set in that time?
Yeah. And I think it was probably more so out of need and necessity than anything else. And the great thing about that is what I found is that obviously if you can be a very good communicator one-on-one with people, there's massive opportunity in that. So if I was to get any more furniture in the house, or potentially even, you know, put myself in a position to buy one, I would need to be very, very good at what I did. So that from that early stage helped. And it was strange, but when I made the move, there was absolutely I was not going back.
Okay.
So I was not going back. So I made that decision very, very early on. And then I just had to put up with it. And I think it's good.
Yeah, well, I did the same thing years later.
Yeah.
And you were much braver than myself. I left Rocky when I was 26, 27.
Yeah.
And I had to I had to do that exact same thing in terms of shutting it off. Like, there's no turning back. There's no plan B. Yeah. And I feel like that was the only way to help me get it. I don't want to say get out in terms of like saying that's a bad place. I don't want anyone to hear this and say that.
And that's exactly the same.
You know, I'm not dissing Rocky because of any particular reason. I feel like I can talk to you about this and to our audience as well. Like, there is something different when you change your location, but especially when you go somewhere bigger. Yeah. What did you find? I know I'm probably skipping around here a bit, but what did you find when you moved down? Like, how did your mindset shift?
I think instantly it made you think, because you almost go from being a biggish fish in a small pond to exact opposite.
Absolutely.
And that's what I found was the biggest thing. And also that, you know, the opportunities, and this is why I moved, the opportunities were endless if you were very good at what you did. So I found that extremely overwhelming in a way, but also then, like, because coming into the city like every single day, right, with like next to no money, like, it was tough. It was very, very tough. It almost made you resent coming into the city a little bit, because, you know, you're starting from scratch every day and there's people walking around in very nice suits. It's like everywhere, and you're just starting at the very, very bottom. So, like, you know, I still have flashbacks every time I'm in the city. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you actually were working in like Brisbane City or Springfield?
No, in Brisbane City. Yeah. So I was catching the train in or driving, depending on the day. Yeah.
Right. So is that where the furniture store job was?
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was my first job when I got here, and I did that for maybe 2 years or so, I'd say. Yeah. So that was and that was big, and that was good. Like, you know, you come into the city every single day, and they're the place is just alive. It was a big thing. Yeah.
So how did you get into real estate now?
Yeah. So that's a good question. So I did a little bit of a stint selling like home and land packages after I got out of furniture. I wanted to do it for a bit, but it was commission only, and I was struggling. So I had to. I saw that I went into banking, and that was incredible. That taught me a lot. And so I got, at the time, I was the top personal lender in the country for the company.
Okay.
And I thought, big ceiling here. And then my bosses and everyone, I was like, oh, that's not really the life I want. If this is where I'm going to be. And some of those guys were there for like 15 years. And then I thought, gee, if I can get to here in real estate, because I did know of a few people in there, if I could get to the top of that field, I'd have a very, very different life for myself. And I knew I would take probably a step back for 2 years if I was to do that. But yeah, now I think 6 years coming up in February in real estate, that is. Yeah.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
And this whole time, because I just remembered as part of this whole journey, you were married fairly early, right?
Very, very early, age 22.
Yeah, cool.
22, hope I've got that right. No, 22.
Right. Siobhan will just quality check this.
Correct. Yeah, just send it to her. But 22, and we've been through it all together.
That's
and
amazing.
Then, you know, when we got married, she moved into the townhouse, and then that's when we had to start getting more furniture. But then we had Ivy quite young, and then that was when I was still in finance, and I thought, gee, if I'm gonna do something, I've got to do it now. So really, you know, you could always go back to to having Ivy, our first child, as a real proper kickstart for that, because again, same thing when I got into real estate. I told everyone there, they said, "Yeah, you'll be back here in 12 months." I said, I'm not doing finance ever again. That was good, because there were some hard times, and every time I thought, should I go back? It was just not an option.
Wow. And so real estate, when you got in it, did it quickly become something that you enjoyed and you're like, I can see myself doing this for a while?
So I became obsessed with it pretty quickly. But it was a very, very tough market at the time. We'd just come through the Royal Banking Commission. So, and to put that in perspective, property prices in Queensland hadn't risen in 10 years. They were going backwards. So if someone bought a property in 2009 and 2019, they're selling it for less. So it was an interesting time, but an excellent time to sort of to get into it. And then I can't say I loved it, but what I did love is the fact that if I could get very good at it, selling houses, putting the deals together, the life it could give our family. And I think that was a really great thing for me to see from people that had done it before me.
So you've always had a mindset of, I just want to see if I can become the best of this.
Yeah, correct. And very important that the best of whatever industry I'm in, talking to them, seeing how they could do it, or seeing what they did. Not at that time, because most salespeople, as they get a bit older and they get more referrals, will actually get very lazy. It was, how do they become the best? Not what are they doing now? It's two different things. So it was just finding out what they did in their early stages and doing my best to replicate it as best as I could.
So good.
Yeah.
Tell me about how Julian came into the picture.
Yeah. So I was 6 months in so that's my brother Julian. So 2 years younger, but we grew up together. We did everything together. 6 months into it, it's quite funny now, but I was like, mate, you're not going to believe the chance to earn a very good income here is just unbelievable. And I said, mate, you just need to try it out. So he flew down, I think 2 weeks later for a trial. It was terrible. He wasn't good, he'll admit it.
Yeah.
He wasn't good, he wasn't a communicator, he couldn't talk to people. But that's the great thing about real estate. It's just, if you take time and you put the effort in, the rewards are pretty big. And so, we weren't at the time in love with houses or the people or anything. It was just, how do we become very good at this? And then we can make plans from there as to what we want to do next. Yeah. And then he's been with us ever since, yeah.
Did he join another agency first?
He joined the agency that I was a part of at the time, so he came straight on board there. And then,
So what was that, like, what was his kind of, I'm sure he can speak for himself at some point, but what was his kind of journey in developing? Because you said he came in, had no experience and wasn't very good, but obviously now you guys are both crushing it. So what was that like to even get it going for him?
So I'd bought a little 2-bedroom townhouse at the time, so he moved in there for a few months.
Nice.
And it was like there was 4 of us in this little 63 square metre
nice.
townhouse. No, there was 5 because Ivy was born. So it was full on, right? It was full on. But so all we had to do was just, with him, is just really speed up the process and put more effort in. So like from 7 till 8:30 every single morning we'd do training. We would work then till 7 at night, then probably 7:30 to 9 every single night we'd do training. And that is just on all the basics, from talking to people, cold calls, walking into people's houses, appraising, what do you do? Just everything from start to finish. And I had already gone through that because I'd already done 6 months. But with Julian, that took around about 12 to 15 months.
Yeah.
But all I can say is just the work ethic there is unreal, because there was a lot of times where we all thought, gee, this is just too hard. Maybe it's not for him. But he pushed through, just worked incredibly hard.
Is that a trait that you both learned in the family?
Yeah, I think so. I think because there were so many of us, my really only memories growing up is Dad being at work. And that's just the price he had to pay, I guess, for having that many kids. So, not in a bad way. That's
I
just,
get you.
You've got, And they wanted to give us as many opportunities as they could.
Yeah.
So that was certainly passed on.
Clearly that's paid off for you guys.
Yeah. So those first years, really, and when I talk about price to pay, like apart from church was the only event I attended in a week, the rest was just work. And that was working on ourselves plus on the actual career itself.
Yeah, good on you. I think that's something that's I haven't really heard people's stories is that because it's a pretty compressed timeline.
Yes.
To starting your own agency.
Yeah.
From the outside anyway.
Yeah, correct.
And I think it's
3 years.
only I think it's only when you hear yourself say, oh yeah, we would spend all these hours working on ourselves. Yeah. Like how important is that self-development piece in being successful?
I figured out like if I'm not going to go to university, I've still got to educate myself somehow. So, and I just had incredible books. I've got an incredible library, but it was just on every single topic you can think of, right? For yourself, for personal. So I think that was a really big thing, was just, hey, my finances aren't good. I'm going to read every single book I can on finance. Just things like that. I'm not a great salesperson. I'll read every single book I can on finance. Like at the moment, like obviously we've got a team now, and it's like there's so many situations I should do things better. But everything is on leadership, as well as then bringing good people into your life who in a way done it. Like that's really important. And then it's almost like a shortcut because you don't have to go through as many pain points.
Are those people that have, like when you say people have done it, are they mentors to you?
Yeah, they've done it. Like as in like real estate wise, from a salesperson, from running a business, and then there's other ones that are like incredible, who I looked up to a lot, that have incredible family lives. So I like to talk a lot to those people.
That's such a good mindset. Do you have any immediate book recommendations that you'd say, or the ones that changed how you thought?
Yeah, Why People Fail is the biggest one, and I will read that maybe 3 to 4 times a year, because all it does is it just. And I was thinking about this morning, but it's like, it's back to basics in every point in your life. It's just getting it back to the basics, from mindset to what are you eating, what are you drinking, what are you consuming, all of those things, and how important that is moving forward.
So is the kind of the summary of that book that people fail because they don't get the basics right?
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's like they just look at why they fail, and then everything is the don't do's, I guess, which is good. It's a bit refreshing from, do this, do that. It's just, yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know if you listen to Alex Hormozy much.
A little bit.
Yeah. He literally just put out a video, and he mentioned somewhere in the beginning as a presentation about how he was going to explain how to win. And to do that, he said, I want to break down why you basically fail. Why people, if you could reverse it and go, what do I do to be the worst version of myself?
Yeah.
And then it's literally like, do the opposite of that.
And and that's it. And I think that's a really great thing to look at. And it's, I think it's very hard to fail. I do think it's very hard to fail when you get those things right.
I agree, because it's actually like, I agree. It's simple, not easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Everything that I'm learning is that things are simple, not easy. You just either don't want to do it, you don't do it fast enough, you just do it the wrong way, or something slightly off, but you just do it enough times until you get the right combination of action, timing, and
correct
getting it right.
Yeah, I love that. And it's very true. And we have a lot of conversations every single week, but it all just comes back down to the decision-making and the habits. And if you can tweak those little things just a little bit, big changes.
Yeah.
Which I've seen personally.
So good. What would you say is the biggest thing that you've grown in this time?
Probably just working on myself more than anything else is the biggest thing. And I think as well as that, especially where I've come from is really like... where I'm at today is purely based on decisions I've made in the past, and no one else is responsible for those but me. And I think we have so many people come and go in all industries, and I always see it, but it's just a real failure to take the blame for themselves, or they've already got to blame something else or their circumstances. I think if if you looked at every aspect of your life, and that can be even where you're at with God, where you're at financially, everything like that. It's just, hey, what decision did you make in the past that got you to where you are now? Yeah.
Absolutely. We overthink it, don't we?
Yeah, massively.
We think it's something crazy, but really it's like, especially if you've got a God worldview faith, you're like, he wants you to live a full life.
Yeah.
He wants you to live an abundant life. There's many things, many promises. I think we just don't do the things.
Correct.
That will result in the outcome we want.
Exactly right. And I think as well as that is we love to be distracted. There's so many things. And that's just really same. I love a distraction. But, that's just really takes you off course so quickly. Yeah.
Ooh, man, I want to unpack so many of these things. Like, it's so good. I think, just like, from me to you, it's like the word is not, I'm not getting emotional about this. It's just, it's really surreal in a good way to know someone I grew up with. Yeah. Who is, we got raised in the same similar area, and to know that you've made it work and you're really setting a good example. You know what I mean? Yeah, which is, and that's it too. And it hasn't happened, I never had that intention. It was really just to really work on myself. And because of that, I can see the positive impact it has on, family, good friends, everything like that. And also people coming through, like who are younger as well, that there's a real clear pathway to really get a better life for yourself. So good. And I know you've also had some other family members join the team, but before we get into all of that, where's things at now? Like, tell me how the agency's going. Yeah. So we've got the sales department, which is great. So we've got the rental department now. We've got a small admin team. So really, so we're in Greater Springfield, which is a lot of houses, a lot of turnover, a lot of young families. It's like the perfect demographic for us. And we love to sell there and to be there. And everything there is just, how do we create this to be the best in those things? We don't want to branch out too wide. We just want to be, and we are extremely good at what we do in those two businesses, really. Yeah. So good. And so since then, your other younger brothers joined the team. Yeah, correct. So we've got Josh, he's an associate, and it's actually good in a way that me and Julian worked for a different company prior, because we're family, but also, and we want great lives for each other, but also we keep it quite separate. Like, it always interlocks, but how we talk to anyone else in the office would be the same as we talk to them. There's standards that have to be set, and there's high expectations, and everyone's accountable for that. How do you ensure the culture that you want in the team? How do you make that happen? We have to work on that every single day. Especially when more people come into the team, and then there's different dynamics, or they have different values, say, for example. But I think the most important thing is for myself, if I'm holding myself to very high standards, and what I speak about, and what we're doing, and in every aspect, that's important. And I'm pretty, the people that we have on board, we want them to carry very similar values. Because obviously, you'll have people come in that aren't of faith or anything like that, but we want them to know that there's something different about us. And we do have people come through from different agencies, and they love to be a part of it. And that's really what we want. Yeah, so good. Yeah. Where do you see the business going in the next 5 years? I plan everything. Okay. And I always think, so our standards are high. Everything's set very, very high. But it is, we're working on having the business tick through, and also be able to, bring young people on, or bring people on who want to have great lives. But also, we want to get to a certain amount of managements, certain amount of sales in our core suburbs. And I think there will be an opportunity in the future where we will be able to step back a little bit. That is the next 5 to 7 year plan. Yeah. That's so exciting. Yeah, correct.
Correct. And there's a lot of work that will go into that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be selling real estate, or I don't think I will be at the age of 40, 45. Yeah.
That's an interesting point. So right now, I want to know, where do you find the most joy in what you're doing? Like, where are you most alive in the business?
So I do love the team and the people, but also what I find the most joy in is actually in the business itself, and being able to set that up. This is really, I love this, but it's just being able to, and it's the best thing about having a business, but steering it exactly where you want, and what team do I need in here to be able to get me there. So second to that, I do love listing and selling houses. So at the time, and I've got my own personal goals there as to how good I want to be in that space, but that's where I am today, but also spending a lot of time on the business as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got a young family.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a little 5-month-old and a 6-year-old. Yeah.
How do you do it?
So I can't take all the credit. My wife's, she's incredible, Siobhan. She really is. And, it hasn't always been easy. But I think what we do really well is we know each other's roles. Or she really has her role with the family, and I've got mine. And we both want to do that to really good at the best ability we can. So I guess that's how we work with it, because if it was a little bit, she's doing different things with the business, I'm doing different things at home, we've just found, hey, I'm really good at this, you're excellent at that, let's really work with that at the moment. And it's just because I'll be home quite late at night, very early in the morning. It's just, I'll be gone. But it's just really finding those times as a family where we can do incredible things together. So every 3 months, we have a fantastic holiday all booked in. In that, working through the three months, we've got something to look forward to every single time. And, there might be days of a week here and there where we can get out and about. But
nice.
When we're on holidays, we're on holidays.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah. So that helps us out a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does Siobhan help in the business at all from time to time?
She may come on board in the future, but she does help out with a couple of things like here and there, probably from more of she's very creative. It's like a graphics thing, and I love bouncing ideas off her because she does think a little bit differently to me as well. It's a bit more outside the box, but not a great deal in the business, no. And I'm very lucky in the fact that she releases me fully to go and do that.
You guys met really young.
Yeah, 16.
Yeah.
So
I still remember.
Yeah, crazy. Hey, I know. It would.
And then she moved up.
Yep.
And then she moved back down.
Correct.
You moved first? Like back to Brisbane? Or
yeah, I think so.
What was that timing?
Yeah, I think... No, she would have just moved and then I followed.
Yes.
Pretty quick after that. Yeah, that's right. When we both decided that we wanted to move, then that was the decision we both made together.
Yeah, great. And so I assume she has had and has your back in the business since day one.
Incredibly, yeah. And she was the first one when I was thinking about to go on the business. Because I had a lot of doubts, she really helped, and her belief in me is unbelievable. She's got more belief in me than I have. I'm and even with different things in the business, like setting up the rental department, I just kind of wanted to steer away from it a bit, especially when it was very hard. But she was very good there and sort of not held me to account, but just really reinforced why we were doing it.
That's so good. It's something I'll say when you got somebody in your corner, your spouse.
Correct. Yeah. And especially when you're in an industry that requires a lot from you, it is more of a lifestyle, it's not a job. So you're always on, or you should always be on. That stuff, I think, I've seen, obviously your partner could resent it. But we both knew that if we could do this, we could do it well. We could have a great life for our family. Yeah. And that's really not why we do it, but it's a big, big part of it.
Have you always had that confidence that I'm going to make this work in everything you're doing?
I have had it, but I've had it because I've mirrored people that have done it exceptionally well. So that confidence comes from that. And I always think there's no way I could work this hard and it not pay off. It's just a blind belief in that.
How does your faith and the God factor come into the equation with building things? Because like, I'm curious to know your thoughts on hard work and balance and the belief that we should be resting. And I want to hear your thoughts on all of that together, because you don't get to what you're doing by not doing anything. Like, so tell me about what your perspective is on this.
So and I've got a few different thoughts on it, but it's just what I might see. But from the faith thing, I think when it's extremely stressful, when times are tough, and even when they're good, but to be able to just cast that worry away is massive. And the people that don't have that, I know it's a big burden to carry. So that's an incredible part. That when times are extremely difficult, like to have that is excellent, and it's special, that's for sure. But also, from a point of balance, right? I do think of it as in seasons, but I do know if I was to have an incredible work/family/life balance, it's going to take me a lot longer to go where I want to go. I do think that. So I think long term it will balance itself out more. And I do think from a Sabbath point of view, I do believe in that. And I think, we do design our weeks to make sure that there is that time, but it wouldn't necessarily be a whole day. And I think quite, like when I set up my year, I know the price I'm going to have to pay. And the higher your goals and your targets are, the higher the price. It's very hard to have everything. So I do think that as soon as people more start talking about, hey, I want this, I want that, but a lot more balance, I think sometimes they're not willing to pay the price. So yeah, but that's my thoughts on it, and that works for us. But I also think, well, I like to think we have a no excuses culture, right? So it's I do think that if we don't give ourselves an excuse for anything, then it's really up to you to perform, and all your decisions are based around that.
That's good.
So it's a bit, probably not ruthless, but a bit brutal. But yeah, I think it sometimes has to be like that. And there is, and I'm not willing to risk a lot of things. So, it's not going to be $100 million business, if that makes sense. Well, I don't want to speak that, but there's just certain things I'm not willing to sacrifice.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So there is a line. I'm not available Sunday mornings, no matter how important that is. I'm just not available. I could be afterwards. If we're on holidays, I'm not available. That's the price there. So on both sides. But when I'm on, I have to be on. Yeah. So I just work it like that.
What would you say is you're generally, if someone was to say, I want to kind of follow in your footsteps in a way, what would you tell them?
It's an incredible thing, right? I would say, hey, look, if you are prepared to do the work, and you're prepared to make small sacrifices and little things like this. I didn't watch a movie for 3 years when I first started in real estate. I replaced it with books. I didn't go and see friends. I didn't see family a real lot. It was just, I think if you're willing to put that a little bit on the back burner to create that time and energy and space later in life, I think, yeah, absolutely. But, you're not going to be in flashy suits and flashy cars for a while. It does take time. And you can shortcut that at a price.
Yep,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think at the moment's the end game for you?
It's a great question. I've been thinking about this a lot. I would love to be able to, and this is the end game, in a way at the moment, it'll change, But I would love to have the business selling wise, property management wise, ticking through to give me more space for what's next. Yeah, because this isn't, as I said, it's not a long-term thing. We do want to create the best in the area, and we are massively, but it's not, there's more to, there is going to be more to life again. Yeah.
Are you at liberty to give us a peek into what that could be, or is that still down the line?
Look, I think it's more of a, from a young professional standpoint and a young business standpoint, is setting that up from start to finish so that those businesses can run very effectively and give you a good life. I think I want to help in that space more, but I need to go through it first.
Yes.
Cool. But I think helping people is a really big thing. Yeah, and I can see that for the future. Yeah.
Oh, that is so good.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Oh, I'm stoked for you. I'm excited for you. And is there any advice that you've been given by a mentor or someone else that you've implemented and you've actually gone, yeah, this worked really well for me?
I'd say the first piece of advice I got on my first day was just work harder on yourself than you do in your job, and then you will have an incredible life. And I think you can give so much during the day, but you have to work extremely hard on yourself. Otherwise, it could all be for nothing, and you could lose it very quickly. And then also that who are you becoming piece. So with most big decisions, we like to look at it from a 10-year point of view. And it's like the first question we had, 10 years time, is that a good decision, or is that just a terrible decision at the time? So that certainly helps, in those spaces there. I think that's very important.
Oh, that's a great summary, in my opinion. And you just mentioned that was a question at the top of the podcast, but we don't know, even I don't know at the moment, who's going to come on next.
I love it.
But if you were to ask them something, what would you like to know?
That's a good question. I've been trying to think of something as we came along, but I would look, honestly, I would just like to know, similar to that is what, and you might have to phrase this better than what I can at the moment, but I would love to know just what are you doing today in your space that you think is maybe separate to the right now that's working on the future, and what is it?
That's separate to right now, as in
they're just making good decisions day to day, but is there something extra there for the future? And I don't know, I really am interested in that stuff at the moment. I like it.
Yeah, well, I can't wait because I don't even know who's going to come on here.
We'll see.
It's a surprise.
So you just word that how you want, all right?
Yes, I will. Or I'll just play back the question for them so they can hear it. But I really appreciate you coming today.
Hey, it's been good to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And hey, I love chatting. It's good.
100%. Hey, if the audience wants to follow you, what you're doing online or offline, where can they find you? How can they do that? So I'm Harry Gale Real Estate on Instagram, Gale Co Estate Agents. But any questions or anything, I do love talking to people. So yeah, I'm very happy to text or a call. Yeah. Excellent. Well, I might take you up on that after this sometime.
Yeah.
But thank you everybody for tuning in, listening, watching, wherever you did. If you enjoyed our conversation, got some value, would you please give us a thumbs up on YouTube, a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and give some love in the comments. If you have any questions for Harry, please do that, and we'll be sure to hear his opinion on it. And again, thank you so much for your time today, Harry.
Hey, great to be here.
Loved catching up.
Hey, thank you.
All right, we'll do it soon.